did. I make a motion to accept it.
Motion by Mayor Bill.
I'll second.
Look at the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. Moving along, let's get to the new growth updates. The packet. So, yeah. Anything of newsworthy to report on the new growth updates? I've got to suspect that with 6% mortgage interest rate. Yes. Oh, sorry about that, Jeff. Let's start over. They read my lips. Yeah, so, yeah, like I said, is there anything newsworthy to report on new growth in county? Do you have anything earth shattering there?
No, well, you said earth shattering, so that'd be no, but
Okay.
there is the Rome subdivision. The only thing I'd say with that one is they've got all the infrastructure in for phase one. It's about half of the 183. So with the infrastructure in and roads in, that even with the interest rates a little high, they'll still have a tendency, I think, to sell. They've got a lot of pre-sold lots already. So just for the school in that area, I think they need to be made aware that'll still move. So
The Morgan City doesn't run over there. It's just about built out. Rupp subdivision, not sure where we are with that one, Teresa, with that one.
Rep subdivision, at first we anticipated they would start the spring, but we're doing a pre-construction meeting Thursday. They still are anticipating only getting the infrastructure in and not building permits. But they have already got quite a bit of their supplies for the water and stuff.
So that's probably going to take place in the next, what?
I see the infrastructure starting in the next month.
The infrastructure, but they were thinking next spring.
For
Building
the homes
permits.
actually being built.
Yeah.
Then the only other one I can think in the city is the one up on Sunset Drive.
Jenny Lane?
Is it Sunset Drive and, yeah,
Yeah, so that's Quill Hollow that's up there. And
that's Quail Hollow Phase 2. Is it? Oh,
excuse me, I shouldn't say that. It's not Quill Hollow Phase 2. That's it's Valley Vista Estates for the single homes. And right now there's 4 more building permits that were just applied for but haven't been submitted. But just to let you know, those are owner builder. So more than likely they'll get them built in the next 4 or 5 months. And that'd be 4 more houses up there.
They're all single family residential, so. Yeah, okay, so yeah, there's definitely some movement that coming down the pike, and then again, the townhomes over there.
So
Riverstone Townhomes.
we'll get a final on one of the buildings this week. So you'll see some more moving in.
Okay. So yeah, that's what you guys want to hear, right?
Still growing.
Yeah, we're growing.
Then your face growing, the price of
Yep.
it's going down, so.
Okay, is there any other comments on the new growth updates? If not, the report, let's see, the local option sales tax. Yeah, a couple of months ago, I remember asking if we had an estimate of what that was going to, sort of revenue that was going to derive. So you say, Jared, you have some.
yeah, I've got an update on that. I didn't make as many copies as I needed to, so I apologize, but maybe we can share a little bit. Wayne's already seen this. I think Brett's already seen it. You guys can kind of just look at that. We'll share it.
Yeah, we can.
And I can forward this to the board, or Denise to forward to the board, but All this is this was just a year ago explaining the different 1/4% options to help us understand where they're coming from and what they're doing. The two that we were able to ask for was 2217, 2219. So if you can remember those two numbers, 2217, 2219. So if you flip down into the section a little bit, it's second to last page. So the second to last page actually defines what 2217 is and what 2219 is. And this is pretty exciting stuff. I got an email from Julie earlier today, just a little bit earlier. And the estimate is just under 500,000 per 1/4%. So that's kind of it was 318 3 years ago. And now it's just under 500. So it's
per quarter.
per quarter. And we got the two of a quarter. So I'll explain real briefly where each of them are going.
Okay.
The 2217 goes through COG. So whatever policies we have set up, the roadways that we can use the monies for, that whole 1/4% comes through COG on how we're going to be spending that. So I think with that in mind.
That's not true.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm misreading what paragraph 2 says. It says under section 2217, the county COG would need to develop a process. And that, I'm sorry, what am I misreading?
Yeah,
Blaine?
you're correct on that one.
Okay,
Part of it
let me
goes through
move on.
state.
Hold on. That's not this one. So 2217 goes through COG. So what I want to make sure is that we understand, we're excited about Young Street Bridge project. We're excited about for the county, well, for the city too, but the Croydon Bridge. And so we have some of these happening, but all of a sudden we're going to have a little bit more of an influx. And I think the prioritization and organization is going to come in even more critical where we say, hey, this is really where we think we want these funds to go. I highly doubt the commission would say no to anything the COG's going to say, because we're going to think through it. We're going to discuss it. And then we're going to say, here's our presentation and where the monies are going to go. So I just want to make sure we're keeping that in mind, because once we get this set up, it'll be probably about January when we start seeing those dollars come
I
in.
was just gonna ask when you anticipated to see that money coming in.
Actually,
That's the
we don't
plan.
Get that done by the 30th this month.
We're working on it.
We're already behind by 1 quarter.
Correct. That's why I said
we've gotta
probably
get it. We
January.
gotta get it done. And it can't
So-
be ratified it'll be ratified after September 30th. It'll be ratified in our next meeting as to what we've done, because we've already passed the law.
Ratified in what next meeting?
Well, we got it.
County commission?
So we approved the 2/4%, but now we need an ordinance written to it.
The county does.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
attorney's working on the ordinance. We got to get the ordinance approved. Once it's approved, that goes to state tax commission. They kick it in gear.
So all the
So-
COG has to worry about is spending the money.
Is waiting for the money to come in
Okay.
and spending it.
All right.
So maybe I'll clarify, best case January, worst case, even the next quarter.
1st of April.
But still, exciting news. We're actually finally moving after struggling with this for so
So
long.
that's, you're talking almost nearly $1 million.
Well, let me talk about the second portion,
All
the
right.
second quarter, and
Well,
that's,
I mean, total.
yes, total correct.
Yeah,
So the second one is 2219.
okay.
So if you flip to actually the last page, this is what Blaine was referring to. The last page, we have a 1/4%. So 0.15 of that 1/4% to Morgan County,
Mhm.
period.
Mhm.
And then 0.10 goes to unincorporated and Morgan City. So, and you can read through there, and it's based on both population and sales. So I don't know exactly how they do that or the formulas, but I think the best way just to get a quick estimate is to say, let's just say 50-50 approximately. I don't know, but let's just say 50-50. So if the 1/4% is approximately 500,000, then 0.1 of that would be 20% of it would be about, I think this city, if it's 0.05 of the 0.25, they'll get about 100,000, the city. And then the county would get the remaining of that. But this doesn't go through COG. This is just comes straight to you, straight to us, straight to you. So,
In the general budget.
Yep.
So Morgan City is not eligible to impose the 4th quarter, right? That's,
yeah, we did, the county
The
did.
county
but
did, and
the city
also-
not.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So
I think the city took the big step initially,
we're good.
2 years back and said, hey, we're gonna push this. And the county said, no, we don't want to do it.
And the city we've imposed, section 2215.
Yeah,
We've already done that. So.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So from a public works perspective, really exciting news. So,
However, part of that COG stuff, part of the 2217 portion of the code is to go towards active transportation that has to deal with active transportation toward alternative routes, not for recreation trails. In other words, if it's part of collectors trails, that is part of that. That all goes towards that. It can be, but we have to decide that here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
any questions?
That's good information. Thank you.
See Mayor over there reading. I want to make sure you're clear.
Same trails are gonna take minimum.
Anyone have any additional questions on that?
So
I guess-
just to add, oh, go ahead.
Our policies that rank and all that are what we've done in the last year sufficient to cover what is going to be coming in?
Our list of capital improvement.
Yeah,
projects is what you're saying?
what we've been
Yeah.
doing, are we in line?
I think the only thing I would add, I think we are in line. I think if something were to be questioned right now anyways, I think we're good. If something would have been questioned on Deep Creek, I would say no. But now that we've changed that,
Right.
said no major minor collectors, I think for now we're good. I think the concern would be, and it is, I'll add from what my understanding, what Blaine said, it is active transportation and transportation. So it's both residential and vehicular, but that the end of that first paragraph where it says minor arterial highway, major collector highways, minor collector roads. So it's really designated for major roads. I think if we were to come in and all of us say, we want this little road that only affects 20 people, we want to throw $1 million at it, that could cause a red flag. So
These are the different things. You've got sidewalks, curbs and gutters, safety features, traffic signs and signals, street lighting, airport facilities, streets, alleys, roads. Read through that section there. And
the 2217 or yeah, and it says on there 2212.2 also. If you
Yeah.
read through there, it'll
Yeah, it
define
tells
for you.
all the different things, active transportation facilities, and that is for non-motorized vehicles and multimodal transportation. And connects an origin with a destination, so it can't be just necessarily, it can't be recreation, it's gotta be for connecting something. Can't be a trail to nowhere.
What did you say for recreate? Oh,
Can't be a trail to nowhere, it has to be connecting to something active in transportation.
oh yeah. If you think a roadway for 20 residents is bad, try submitting a trail out in the middle of nowhere.
Right, right.
That'd be.
So that's basically.
And
what-
I've seen where it's been spent and it's had to be paid back if we're not spending it correctly. So that's a great
Intelligent-
question, Jeff.
And it's also for intelligent transportation systems. So figure that one out, we can put it in there.
Well, Brett's intelligent.
I know.
We're good. So anyways, that's just exciting news.
Corridor preservation, debt service and bond issuance costs related to the project.
It will.
Should make you wellness.
Any other questions?
Okay, let's move on then. Thanks, Jared. Jared, we're back to you. Looks like, CDBG Regional Review Committee did a meeting. You have a
Yeah,
report on that?
I really had a busy August, so I actually did not attend. I got an update from CDBG, but I did not attend it and I did not attend the Transcon. So
Do we have any projects that we've applied for CDBG currently?
I know the county doesn't. How about the city?
I don't think we do.
Oh, I thought you did on the history,
Railroad
the railroad, yeah,
did,
did.
but currently.
Well, it was applied for this year and we got it this year, from what I
Is
understand.
that a CDBG? Is
Part of
that
it was to do with the ADA, wasn't it? Of course, I was.
Yeah, I think so. But I thought that
it
would,
was a grant of some, I didn't think it was a CDBG grant. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it was a CDBG.
I
I don't
did
know
think we had a
because
CDBG.
CDBG in Morgan, it's just so.
It is
It's hard when we have such high income.
Yeah.
difficult because of our median household income. Okay, all right, then, hey, Matt Milson or Mike Newton, Regional Growth Committee, so maybe they have something by proxy. I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea on that one.
Okay, Jared again.
So those two, well, CDBG, Transcon, I did not attend,
Okay,
I did attend the JPAC.
pardon?
and Blaine attended the JPAC.
I did it.
Well, Blaine, if you want to give an update for WFRC and JPAC
I don't think there's much in it.
for us.
So that's the JPAC, right? You're talking about. How about the Wasatch Front Regional Council? August 25th, 2022, was that just a meeting?
There was a. WFRC.
Steal your pen, sir, shooting.
Okay, I can just kind of give you the notes that I took on the WFRC. That's the one we're on.
Yep.
Okay, basically, there's some funding out there that we can go for if we'd like. And in fact, we've got to have a letter of intent by the end of this month that we need to really look at if we want to do any kind of a project. Doesn't mean we have to have it completely ready, but just a letter of intent. Some of them have to do with funding sources for economic development. And there's a whole list of them. There's 4 or 5 different things that we can do. There's also some that would be good for transportation. And trails. And that was basically, they want us to go in and also encourage our businesses to go in and do some of the economic development survey. It's a 5-year strategy. We need to have people go into. Did you? Good, good.
QR code.
Okay, good. And then that was it on that one. There wasn't much in that one.
Well, you'd have to be applied for by the end of the month.
Yeah, let me see if I can find those. Keep going on something else and I'll look at it.
On that.
Oh,
Are you on it?
Well, so
Ty is, yeah.
What are we doing as a group that can help and benefit us all? I mean, Ty hasn't been asking us to assist with anything. Is there something we need to assist with?
and I'm gonna flip that a little bit also of, I'm not aware of many projects that Wasatch Front Regional Council dollars, I've asked multiple times, what dollars have you given to us? And when I say us, not UDOT, get UDOT, set it aside, what dollars have you given to us?
Not much,
Not much.
not much over the years. I'd say with CDBG, just not much.
I asked why we call it a Wasatch Front. And that's where all the money goes. It doesn't go to the Wasatch back.
Can I give you a rebuttal with that? Problem is yes, we are the Wasatch back. But if we don't get our noses into their darn business, they'll never give us any money.
Oh,
And so I have been in there constantly pushing them for some funds. Now, here's what we can do. There's the community development grant. It's one that has to be done. I can send this out to anybody that
CDBG?
wants it, CBG. Block grant, Wasatch Front Economic Development. We can do congestion mitigation, which we're starting to have an influx of air coming up through the valley down by you guys, or you, down in Mountain Green. There's transportation alternative programs, transportation land use connection, and surface transportation programs, and carbon reduction, station area planning assistance if we want, and the community impact board. These are all, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different programs that we could possibly look at. Now, what we need to do is look at all of these and determine, if you haven't got them, I'll send it to you right now. I'll forward this to anybody that wants it. Then you can look at it and see if there's anything you want to have.
Where does the CIB money come from? The Community Impact Board?
I don't even know that one. 'Cause I've never had to worry about it. Says, oh, that's the one that provides grants and low interest loans to communities that have federally leased land used for
Yep.
mineral extraction. So
Yep.
we don't have that.
That's the one.
That's
what
one
I
that we
thought.
don't
That
have.
was of no use to us or whatsoever.
Right, and the station area planning, yes, we could.
Hold on. Agreed that we don't qualify real well for CIB, but they will still accept our list and they'll still give us those granting opportunities.
Okay.
In fact, that's action item number 4. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
So there are things in here that we need to be looking forward, and that's where some of the funds from the COG or from these other kinds of funds that we're going to be getting from the sales tax. If we start looking at these kind of programs, we can start applying for grants. And those monies that we get from the sales tax can be used to do our match, whatever might have to be. So that's something I think we as a group ought to be looking at to help the community and the whole county. When I say community, I mean the whole county.
Who's your grant writer?
Yeah, so that was the next thing I was going to mention. These have been available for 10 years,
No,
20 years. Well,
Right.
some of these new air ones, they just came out, I think 10 or 15 years ago. I'm not disagreeing. We got to get in front of them. And maybe that's a decision we make. The thing that just irritates me to no end is we don't get looked at. So the concern I have, let's say it's $100,000 project. If we put 10 grand or 5 grand into submitting an application and then we're denied, how many, I mean, I think as a COG, I'm not against what you're saying, Blaine. I just think we got to be cautious of how much money they're going to give to a rural county and city like us.
we will never get it unless we go after it. So
I'm
for instance,
not disagreeing. All I'm saying is,
I'm
if we-
just telling
can
everybody here.
I finish what I'm saying real quick?
Sure.
If we submit 10 different documents and it takes, because we can't do it on our own, we're going to have a grant writer do it, and it takes them 5 to 10 grand to do each. So we spend 100 grand submitting and we don't get awarded anything. One of those projects we could have completed for 100 grand.
Correct.
So that can happen. I don't know,
Correct.
but I just want to be cautious of that. That's
Yes,
all. I'm not meaning we
that's
don't do
fine.
anything. That's not what
fine,
I'm
but
saying.
If we are like we have been in the past, if
It-
we
it-
do what we have done in the past, we will never go forward.
We've been,
It's always been a struggle for grants. To find somebody to take the time to do the grant writing, as long as I've been on the city council.
That's right.
Ty has done a great job of, I think a pretty good job of applying for a lot of grants for us and actually getting quite a few grants. So my question is, I don't disagree with what you're saying either, Blaine, but ultimately, who does that fall on? Who does that fall on?
It falls on, it looks like me. So that means I'll take the ball and I will go with it and I'll find it because I'm not gonna let us sit back and do nothing.
yeah, if you think,
I
yeah,
will
if you
find
really
it.
believe you can get it done, I will.
I can
It's
get it
way
done.
better than what I can.
But you've got to give me some ideas what you want us to accomplish.
So
So here's,
I'm
sorry,
looking,
Mayor.
I'm
Here's,
looking at economic development, tourism, active transportation and roads.
Okay.
Now you tell me what else we would need. That's what I'm saying is
So-
let's work on it.
I
Gather
don't believe unless any of us have time, like maybe Ty does, that I think most of us have jobs that we do. It is kind of Ty's job to do it to a degree, but to write and fill out all these things takes time.
Don't worry.
If you want to take the time to do it, I'll buy you a steak and a Mountain Dew. But if you're not going to have the time to do it, then I think if we want to do it, we need to pay somebody to do it. It's
I
going
know
to
that.
cost money.
I know that.
And I want to make sure that our money isn't wasted to a degree. We can shoot for a couple of them. And if this grant writer is awesome and they get a couple, then let's keep doing it.
The county got a CDBG grant for $220,000 4 years ago when I first came. We didn't qualify for it at all.
who wrote that grant? Do you know? Who, you applied for that grant?
that I targeted the money. So I found out in years past how much money's left over and just targeted that amount of work. Now, it's not gonna work every year, but the amount was right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What did we do with it?
30,000 left over and I put in for 220 of them.
We got
What
it.
did we spend it on?
In the bathrooms, county bathroom and the fairgrounds bathroom.
So you knew what was left over and just,
Yes, a little. Yeah. There's always something left over. And if you apply for it, even though you don't qualify for it, they had to give it to us, had no choice. Because it left over.
but,
So that just took a little research on what had happened.
but we were in the same boat. The city was in the same boat prior to hiring a city manager. I mean, 5 city council members and a staff that's worked, that has plenty to do. It was darn hard to find somebody to write grants, And
Well,
is
the
it,
key to it is not only right, you gotta know.
know what you're doing.
What you're
Yeah,
looking
so that's
for?
what a grant writer can do. Check the history of what's been going on with grants. Sometimes there's a way.
So it was- They actually looked at hiring a grant writer?
Yes.
I guarantee you that Weaver County has one. that just
I
does
haven't
that.
personally.
Well, 2, 3. Yeah, that's true.
They have an office.
Full of grants.
CDBG, I haven't.
It's just that your staff is so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, an administrator that can write grants.
Absolutely.
That's same as our city manager.
But we didn't run a license.
Well, they asked me.
Who's the guy at the CED that
They could be doing grants.
writes grants? You kind of hired him,
Uh,
the county?
you mean this one?
Huh?
Not this.
Not
one.
Vista.
You're
The
on
planning
there.
director, Josh?
No,
Talking James?
But you're right. It's gonna cost you money to hire.
James, yeah, well,
He doesn't.
he doesn't write
very
grants.
many.
I'll tell you a good one.
But I do know
We
some,
need is
and we're gonna be looking into that.
so I thought that was his duty.
Add on to that.
No, that's to do with economic development.
You're talking about we need a grant for it.
James doesn't write grants.
No, he
Too
doesn't.
small.
Well, JUB, we could do an RFP. It's just, it's up to what we want to do. And I don't know, Blaine, if you want to take the first steps to
I'm already been working on it.
what's it?
I've been working on trying to find somebody to write our grants. And I
Oh.
found a potential contract person that will do it for us.
We could easily get an RFP out and say we're looking for a grant writer. I think we got to have a little bit of a time and pay but again, I just want to be cautious. That's all.
So that would go in front of the commissioners
Yes.
to approve it.
What we would do is as a COG, we would say, hey, in order to get some of these dollars, we think getting grants would really be beneficial. And we would recommend as a COG to the commission of using some of these dollars for grant writing.
So would the COG look for the grant writer or?
I'm gonna look for the grant writer.
We can look for one, but ultimately we would just put an RFP out.
Is some of this money eligible to be spent on grant writing? All right.
It depends on what portion it's for. Depends if we have a grant writer that's under contract to do something for the county, they can write all these grants.
Well, yeah, I think it would have to be associated with the transportation on the specific ones we're asking for. I don't think we could just have them write a grant for,
Well, it could be
economic
somebody that's
development.
on all of them.
it'd need to be transportation. Correct.
For the quarter percent.
Correct.
Use
If
this
it's
money.
paying out of COG, correct.
So I guess to wrap this up, at least in my mind, so you're pursuing that already, Blaine?
I have already been pursuing it for the last few months. Jerry has not been involved in any of that. So.
Okay.
to let you know.
So Teresa, maybe we'll put that on the agenda for next month's
We
COG
can
meeting.
discuss it next
An
month,
update
Blaine,
on
and
a
then
grant writer.
see what your update is for next month.
That'd be fine.
Okay, so let's make sure that gets on the agenda, Teresa. And thank you, Teresa, for being here and helping us today, by the way. All right. I think we've blown through the reports from COG members, all right? Moving on to item 4. Jared, this is approval of adding Weaver River floodplain mapping study to the CIB list. Okay,
So WRFRC has a CIB list, and what typically happens is the county and the city both have their capital improvement projects and they submit the
Mhm.
list. And I think is it a yearly, Brett, or biannually?
Yearly.
Yearly.
yeah,
Yeah,
annually.
a lot of people will say it's a yearly basis and that's it, when actually we can update that list when we would like. And one example was during the year.
Whenever you want.
Yeah.
We haven't done that.
Well, we did do it last year with Mountain Green Sewer Improvement District. We needed to apply for a CIB loan for them. And so I can't remember if we brought it before the COG, Wayne, did we bring it before the COG? Because I think part of the definition of CIB is, yeah, I don't remember. But I'm bringing this before the COG because that's what the definition says. I got to bring it before you guys and okay it with you. I've talked with Ty about this actually quite a bit, but what it is, and they're going to come present in the next commission meeting, first Tuesday in October. There's a floodway that exists along the Weber River. And a lot of the city, some of you have dealt with it more than others, but it's basically a paintbrush of where it might flood. And those of us who lived here all of our lives can pretty much look at it and say, no, yeah, maybe. But most of it'll be no's. And keep in mind, it's a 1% chance or 100-year. So it's a 1% chance flood. Some of the floods like in 83, that was not a 100-year, that was a 500-year, whatever it was. So we're not talking a huge flood. We're just talking a 100-year storm. That's a fairly big one. But what they're coming in and looking at when they modeled that initially, the FEMA group, AECOM, there's an engineer for AECOM. He's now a CRS and he's the one that I'm hoping does the work for us. But he's coming in and say, FEMA now approves a 2D model versus a 1D model. I don't know the details of it. All I know is he said can mitigate that area. Part of the contract is to actually say the first, I think, $3,000, 2,600, they're actually just going to look at it to see if it is beneficial. And if it's not going to be, then they'll say, okay, it's not going to change it at all, which I highly doubt. But there's going to be a bit of properties. I mean, one example might be a property where they're going to do that car wash just off the Weber River where the Mickelson Mile, I guess, ends on this side. But just that property that had a lot of material, it's built up pretty good. If you look at the floodway, it shows that it floods at a 100-year storm, and it's too high. The material's too high. It won't flood during a 100-year storm. So the suggestion is they're going to come in. They found through CIB a grant where it's a 50-50 match. It's going to be from basically the pickleball courts area down to the city boundary by the dump. We want to take that entire section and have them model that and evaluate it, bring the floodway in as best as they can, submit it to FEMA to get it updated. So that'd help benefit a lot of possible property owners, the city park, if there were ever to be a structure in there, the county, the school. It'll really benefit quite a bit of people up and down that stretch.
The old car wash piece of property.
Yeah.
That's been sold.
No, I'm talking about where was it Gorilla Wash? Remember that?
Mhm.
They have that one. Yes, it has been sold. But yes, so I'm sorry, that's the same property. Okay, yes.
Yeah, but it's always been a hindrance because it's in the flood.
Yeah, and I think there's a possibility that'll come out, to be honest with you, so.
That was the gamble we took.
But an example, Matt Wilson / John Cannon, when they bought that property for the apartments, they had to pay $50,000 to do that evaluation just on their piece. Yep. Where we're going to pay $50,000 because it'll be 50-50 match. We'll pay $50,000 to get $100,000 worth of work. It'll be the entire stretch. So it's actually pretty exciting. I've talked with Blaine about it. We have some dollars back from the 83 floods. We had a bit of dollars there and we approved to use $50,000 of that money if we can get this to move forward. Just to make all of you members aware, there was actually a discussion of having the city pay a portion. I actually shot that down pretty quick. And the reasoning is, as a county, we're looking at this and we're taxing all the people equally as a county. So if we're looking at this as a county, if we were to have the city participate, now all of a sudden the city residents are paying more than the
Double taxation.
Double. Yeah. So I didn't want to do that. I just said, let's just.
I appreciate that. Well, that's felt
It's
in the past. so.
happened too many times in too many other places.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So anyways, we're planning on fronting that 50 and matching that if it all goes like it's supposed to go, but just wanted to get as an action item, the approval of adding that project to the CIP list.
From like the bridge of the pickleball court down to the.
Correct. It's a good stretch.
Maybe I'll buy you a steak and a Mountain Dew for saying that.
Well,
So
we need to be-
what do you need here? Do you need a head nod?
All
Do
we
need a
need-
motion?
all we need is we need a motion and then an approval of adding that project, the Weber River floodplain mapping.
That would
study
be the
project
motion.
to the CIP list.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to know that we add the Weber River floodplain mapping study to the Wasatch Front Regional Council CIB list.
Motion and a second. By Ron, second by Brett. Any other comments, questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Okay,
So with that, is that something we need to put on this city, the county list? Who's gonna get that on the list now?
We'll get it on.
the
there.
cat, it'll go. in the
Yeah, I've
counties.
actually mentioned to Brett in an email, hey, you need to update your CIP.
Yeah,
list
that-
to show this.
On that list, okay.
Give it on the county seat, yeah, on the capital improvement.
Yep.
Okay,
Good point.
all right. We are down to other business, it looks like to me. So, anyone have any other business, thing they want to bring before the COG?
I don't know if we have any updates. Blaine, what was our update with the the 84 interchange, and we had a meeting with, let's see, President Adams and Congressman Moore.
Basically, what we ended up doing is we had a meeting with them and separately. The biggest push is with Stuart Adams has gone, he has said, we need to keep pushing for it. Don't stop just because we got the EIS. He says, keep pushing for it. There's funding available. We need to keep pushing. And so that's where we got the lobbyist that is helping us with that. And we've got to start proving or showing to him that we have a economic reason for having that also. And that's what we're working with James and our economic development team. And other than that, about all we had, we discussed, unless you can think of anything else.
I can, we're just pushing really hard on that interchange. It's, the more we can help mitigate what the property owners are paying for the tax, the better. And I really think through economic development, we're just helping to mitigate any kind of increases because people come in from out of state and spend their money here and leave. And that's what we would love. So I don't want to, it's a hard thing because I definitely don't think if all of us had our way, we would have our place in paradise, whether it's 10 acres or 20 acres or 100 and horses and whatever else and nobody else around us, right? That'd be our paradise. But I think in order to continue living here and the lifestyle that we're living, we just got to do everything we can to help taxes from going up.
I have two questions. That's what I've written down. That's one of my questions.
So it'll start November 1st. Right now, they're gonna close it right at the 14th, but I'll know next, Tuesday, November 27th.
What's gonna go this fall?
November 1st.
So
Glad I'm retired.
we should know next Tuesday on the exact dates. We're gonna start mobilizing the end of October.
So I'm sure we've contacted school for the bus routes. I'm sure we've contacted cement plant.
Well, no, when I talked to Scott about it, he hadn't heard about it, but he is aware of it. In fact, I'm gonna text him right now. Make
Make sure
sure.
walk through the plan across the railroad bridge.
Me and Scott talked about extra bus stop.
We're gonna run two extra
And
buses.
Yeah, we've gotta run
we're
two
gonna run
buses.
two buses. We've gotta add actually 4 bus stop signs. Change around.
Pedestrian over that river or something, just to have them walk over it.
Those loaded up.
20 minutes longer for the routes.
Just picturing those loaded up
Each way.
bulkers going on that old road all winter long. the Croydon Hill, all those bulk trucks coming out of the cement plant.
Oh, it's gonna be,
They're gonna,
Did some repairs on that road last week. Shouldered the whole thing, at least that route.
how does the Summit County side look?
Hold it together, we just keep that pressure on the side of the road, 'cause we know what them trucks are gonna do.
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna beat that road to pieces, but very well. Yeah, extremely well. It's not like it is snow plowing.
Yeah.
Try to get as much as they can up there.
Wondering if they're gonna move some powder down to Lehigh.
Have we talked to,
Anything like that,
have we talked to Summit County and their public works for that stretch of road?
That stretch of road mostly is in Summit County. Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be worse after this project.
120 day closure. 160 bucks.
We're months. Ooh, they're right in the middle of the winter. Of course, it's gotta be like that with the water level, water's down, right? Yeah.
So was the design similar?
No, it's a little different because, you know, usually they drive in pylons, you know, now they can't do that. They can't pound it. It's too close to the railroad. They've got drill caps. That's a lot of the cost.
Said they're raising the bridge from bottom of bridge 6 inches?
Raising it, so they're gonna raise it actually 4 foot on each side.
Oh,
On the west side, they can't raise it.
Um,
4 inches.
oh, okay. But from the bottom to the river, from the bottom of the trusses or whatever they've got to the river,
So we'll go
Okay.
about 6 to 8 inches on the west side. So
and then 4 feet.
we'll actually go 4 feet on the east side.
Okay.
So that's, and that can transition.
Eliminating the 90-degree?
No.
No,
No,
but it's gonna be
it
rounded.
is 48 feet wide. Think about that.
It is 48 feet wide.
140. 148 feet long. 48 feet wide.
That is
So that's
good width.
two trucks going at the same time.
Which of course has never
Good
happened in the
width.
past. So is it going to end up being closer to the wooden railroad trestle? It's going to push it over toward that way? All
That's part of the
did it.
reason it took so long to get it finalized. We were ready to go last year. We were ready to go last year. Put it out, and I mean, finally in July, we got the letter we needed from the railroads. Put it out for bid. Came back, let's see, came back 2.8 over.
Yeah.
Overestimate, 2.8 million over. But we didn't have the 2.8 million. UDOT said, well, I think you guys ought to go ahead and do it. So we get the 2.8 million. Because we can't
Thank
even-
you, Brett.
We can't even chance that, right?
Can't spend money we don't have.
It took until February 15th to get the 2.8 million. So we had to put it out, we had to rebid by then. It wasn't any, you know, they would only leave that for so long, you know, because of the prices. So then we put it out to bid again, it went up by 1.9. So then they said the same thing, like, we ought to just go ahead and do it, so you get another 1.1. So it only took them a week to get rid of 1.1. Part of it, I think, was because of the computer system.
Having the same issue with the.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah, we do.
Bridge almost doubled it.
Oh, yeah. There were- Yeah.
So it went from a $3 million project to $7 million.
This is the Croydon Bridge. I think ours was what,
I don't know.
2.8 to 5. Is it gonna, is there a pedestrian lane in this bridge or no? No pedestrian. So we can still run over fishermen fishing on the bridge. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I was going to, okay. I was gonna ask you that.
About the Elm Street Bridge, we get asked that all the time.
Mayor,
Supposed to have it done before school year next year starts.
what's going on now? We're doing engineering now?
Well, it'd be, I thought the design was done. They're putting out the bid.
UDOT did we had to come up and pay some money on the property that the home.
Okay, okay.
So
That's the word I get is before school starts. Okay.
So just a update on the funding. I don't know if Moore's office has talked to Ty on their funding opportunity. I don't know if you remember, but it's about 3 months ago. They came up with a funding opportunity when Congressman Blake Moore, when he came to talk to us, we asked him about it. Cause I was pretty to the point, just said, look, is this going to work? Are we going to get the money? And he didn't even know. He's like, I'm not sure. And it's caught up. And I said, well, we're going to be done with the project before we even know if we get any money from you. I don't know.
Like 3 times about it.
Yeah. However positive he's sounding, I'm not sure how quick it's going to happen or if it is. So I guess the thought I want to make sure we have as a COG is I don't think there's one member on this board that does not, we 100% see the significance of that bridge. So we've got new dollars coming in, whether it's January or the next quarter. What I've seen happen in other counties is they've said, oh, okay, we know these dollars are coming in. There's no doubt that they're not coming in. And if there needs to be any kind of an agreement ahead of time to give the assurance to the city or the county on projects and say, hey, look, we will, as a board, set aside each quarter or each year or semi-annually to make sure this gets done. Worst case scenario for me is we get almost to the finish line and we can't finish it. I do not want to see that happen.
And that was one of the reasons the city had the truth and taxation hearing on the certified tax rate. So what we did is we had a certified tax, we stood pat on the certified tax rate we had in effect in 2021. This year, when the certified tax rate came out, the mill levy was actually lower because obviously housing prices went up and growth. But we voted to just keep that mill levy the same as it was in 2021. So the mill levy is the same, but it did raise taxes in the city. And my answer to most people that are asking me that question is, we're just trying to generate some revenue for that bridge over there. And everybody seems to be okay with that, because I think generally speaking, that bridge over there is something that almost everybody in the community would like to see happen.
I think there's a lot of county that will benefit from the.
Well, and that's a point I'm making.
School.
I don't-
It's the only way we've made
I don't wanna
ourselves-
put the
got
weight-
ourselves back on our feet.
We do not want to put the weight on the city, the entire weight on the city. The county's here to support and help. The COG is going to support.
COG,
So
yeah,
let's
yeah.
make sure we're
Yes.
dealing with this correctly and we're not letting you guys take on, the city take on.
But I
the
think
weight.
it's a project that's that most of our constituents feel very strongly about, that would like to see happen. So.
Yep.
For both your points, anybody around the school and that, we hear from all the ends of the valley, all over the place. When's that bridge going in?
Yeah.
You have an activity or in the mornings, when's that bridge going in? So, yeah, it's gonna be awesome and we appreciate everything that everybody's done to help us get there, because this thing's been talked about for 20 years plus.
What did our truth and taxation doing what we did? It generated what, was it 100? About another 100,000?
But not 2.5 million.
No.
No,
So
no.
that's why I
I
want to
think
make
we're
sure
looking
we're.
at installments here. So.
Well,
You know what, though? It's death by a million, by 1,000. That's the-
Yep.
The problem is, and I had this talk with Howard Stevens, the superintendent I did. He's the one that came this, the truth and taxation thing. If you raise, because they do the certified rate, the
Mhm.
state comes up with that certified rate every year.
And we don't have to have.
And they built that deliberately to strangle local taxing entities. He told me that.
Yeah.
It was built to strangle them. And so he told us point blank, it was never intended to let it float down to the certified rate every year. Because he says, if you do, you're just gonna, and every rural community in the state has just atrophied to the point they're in financial distress.
Further and further behind.
Exactly. And if you're a growing community, it's worse.
We're further and further behind.
And so that's, we've done, that's why we've done that, is because it's the only way we're gonna, when I got on the board 7 years ago, we had 5 days of operating expenses in reserve, 5 days. I mean, and that's just crazy.
Would take much of a hiccup there, would it?
No, boiler room to put a water in it.
It was a disaster area.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but city mayor and city council members COG's
It's a-
behind.
yeah,
We
100%
can
agree.
help out and figure it out. So.
A great deal of what you've had to say today. I'm gonna,
Biggest need in the city as it is the county.
oh, the school.
And if it's a bond through the city
It's a community
and we
project.
say, COG, this is how much we'll contribute on a yearly basis,
Another
whatever we
project
need
we're
to do,
doing
let's
doesn't-
make it
It
happen.
benefits everybody.
Everybody's interested in it. The other question, if we're done with that one, the only other question I had, what is the status of Lost Creek State Park? Is it still, do you pay to get in there now or?
It's, yeah, they're working on stuff. They're actually, I think they got the campground that's already. I think it's.
Does it have a toll booth there or?
Yeah,
They got a
I
portable,
thought they
they
had
do
it
have it on the
already.
weekends.
Yeah.
They man it on the weekend.
yeah, they do.
Not during the.
But Chris said it's kind of on hold right now.
Chris,
Terremoto. Terremoto.
Tell you the status of fishing, it's pretty good.
They pulled
better too.
they pulled out on the,
There.
I think they had 7 million, figured that wasn't gonna do anything, so they.
Okay,
Listen, weird how the inflation affects all of us.
Shocking. isn't it?
all righty. Any other business or reports or? It comes from McDonald's,
McDonald's is coming.
Meeting tomorrow.
big meeting tomorrow.
Really?
Yep, planning meeting, so.
I think Tracy's got you covering that.
He doesn't know yet, 'cause I haven't talked to him.
You know, on
Covering what?
the Donald's meeting, well, I'm covering Pheasant Run meeting on site.
Well, it's planning meeting tomorrow night, right, Teresa?
And planning commission for the CUP.
This is at 5.
Do I know about this meeting?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
There's not much today.
Oh, all right. All right, okay.